All right. Hello, people. Today we're going to talk about measures of center and measures of spread. And this is going to kind of be the start of a mini unit, kind of similar to the scatter plots of last week. We're going to talk this for this week. Maybe it'll lead into next week a little bit, but past that is all we got. Okay. So measures of center and measures of spread are going to sound a little new, but okay, hopefully they're going to be a little familiar once we get into it. Okay. Hopefully you've heard the words mean, median, and mode. These are our measures of center. And the big thing to remember with these is they're supposed to represent or be pretty close to the middle of a data set. Okay, it's supposed to kind of sum up, be kind of the middle, I don't know, it's going to sum up middle, whatever you want to call it, of our data set. Okay, and the first one is mean. It's the most common, and it is the average. Okay, it is the average. And to find that, we're going to add all of our points, and then we're going to divide, okay, by the number that we have. Okay, the number of points that we had. Again, we'll see some examples later. When it comes to median, we're going to call this the middle. Okay, and to find this, it's helpful to put our numbers in order from least to greatest. And I'm going to actually make you do this for every single example. It's the one thing I'm going to make you write down. Okay, is you need to write them in order from least to greatest. Okay? Then you need to find out which one's in the very middle. You'll note that if there are two medians, you're going to add them and then divide by 2. The mode is kind of dumb. The mode is the one that shows up the most. Here, the number that shows up the most. And technically, you can have none if they're all the same. You can have just one mode. Or you could have even 2 or 3 if there are, a few things tied with two numbers and, the rest, there's only one. Again, we'll get into examples later. Okay? We'll circle back to those. The big thing that you need to know is mean and median are the most common, the most important, and the ones that we're going to focus on. Mode is not great, and I'll kind of highlight an example of why here in a little bit. Okay? Now we're going to get into measures of spread, and this is going to talk about how spread out, or like the distance between the data, and how far they are from the center. Okay? Range you've probably heard of. Okay, it's the difference between the max and the minimum, and a good thing to remember is difference means subtraction, so I'm going to actually note that this is max minus min. Okay, max minus min. Okay? Quartiles are really the big one, the big new one. And really your quartiles split the data into 4 equal groups. And so basically how big the groups are going to kind of give you an idea of how split they are. Okay? So again, quartiles, there's kind of 3 different ones. There's the first, the second, and the third. The second is a little silly because it's the same as the median of the entire group. So if you find the median of the entire group, that's the second quartile. Okay, it should be smack dab in the center. The big ones that you need to know are the first quartile and the third quartile, or Q1 and Q3. And it's the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half, or the middle of the lower half and the middle of the upper half. Okay, and what we use those for is we find the interquartile range, or the IQR. So what we'll do is to find the IQR, you take Q3 and you subtract Q1. Okay, and again, we're going to get into examples here in a second. So here we go. We're going to talk some examples. I've got just a set of points, and I'm going to show you first how to do this all by hand, and you're going to hate it. And then I'm going to show you how to do it on Desmos, and that's the one that you're going to like, and that's probably the one that you're going to use going forward. Okay, we're going to start with our mean. Okay, we're going to start with our mean. And I mentioned it above. Okay, to find our mean, we need to add all of these up. I don't expect you to do this in your head. You can use the calculator. Luckily here, okay, I have, kind of my numbers listed. So I'm going to do 25 plus 40. I'm actually going to get rid of this because we're going to need that later. 25 plus 40 plus 41 plus 47. Plus 50 plus 60 plus 37 Let me make some changes. Let me fix that. Lost a little bit. Plus 37 plus 43 plus 45 plus 35 plus 35 plus 30. Okay, so I added them all up and I got 488. And then I'm going to divide it by the total number of numbers that I had, or the total numbers of data points, which in this case is 12. So I'm going to do 488 divided by 12. And when I do that, 48 divided by 12, that's 13. When I do 12, I get 40.6, and I'm going to call that, okay, 40.7. So there you go. There's your first one, your mean. Okay, you add them all up, you divide by the number. Okay, your median. Okay, and this is takes a little bit of work. Okay, the first thing that you should do is let's put them in order. Okay, these numbers will work better in order, and actually going forward, I think it's a good rule that you should always be changing it to be in the correct order. So we have 25, we have 30, we have 35 and 35, we have two 35s. Maybe that's important. We're going to store that for later. Okay, 35 and 35. I've got 37. I've got 40, 41, 43. Oh, I forgot to cross stuff off. 40, 41, 43, 45, 47, 50, and 60. Okay, and to get our median again, put them in the right order. And then from here, you're looking for the exact middle. Okay, so the exact middle, obviously, it's not 25, it's not 60, it's not 50, it's not 30, it's not 35, it's not 47, it's not 45, it's not 35, it's not 37, it's not 43. I keep crossing them off. I get to these two in the middle. I run into a slight dilemma. If I run into two in the middle, okay, you have two options. You can either add them and then divide by 2. So if you wanted to, you could add them. Okay, if you add them, you got 81 and then divide by 2. Or we can use our little brains, okay, and think what number would be perfectly between 40 and 41. And hopefully we're okay that that's just going to be 40.5. Okay, 40.5 is going to be our median. If you wanted to type it into your calculator, you would get 40.5. Our mode, I'm going to erase some of the coloration up here. Our mode is a little bit goofy, okay? In order to find our mode again, okay, you're going to look for what number shows up the most. Hopefully, we're okay with the fact that the number that shows up the most is going to be the 35s right here, okay? That's just your answer. You don't have to actually do any work. Your answer for the mode is 35. Now, here's a quick talking point that I would like to make. These three things are our measures of center. I'm just going to write the word center up here. And they're supposed to represent the middle of our dots, okay? Which one of these is clearly not that close to the middle of our dots? Is it the 40.7, the 40.5, or the 35? I hope that you're okay with the fact that our mode, okay, right there, is not at all really close to the middle of our points, okay? That's why I kind of hate the mode. It's so easy to be far away. It's not really frequently a good representation of the center unless you have a ton of them. If you only have one or only have two more than like the rest of the pieces, it's not going to be great, but yeah. We hate the mode. The mode stinks. Move on. Okay, let's talk about our measures of spread. Our first one is range. Okay, it's range. And to do that, we need to do our max minus our min. Looking at this, hopefully we're okay that our max would be 60 and our min would be 25. We're going to do 60 minus 25, and that will be 35. So that's pretty easy, not too crazy. You can do that in your calculator if you want. And then we run into our IQR. Okay. Looking at our QR, again, if you go back, it means that you have to do Q3 minus Q1. And here's kind of the problem. Have we talked about Q3 or Q1? No. Okay. I mentioned this earlier, Q1 is going to be the median of the lower half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it in half, and we kind of already have our halfway point. It's that 40.5. So I'm going to only focus on the front. Okay, I'm only going to focus on the front. Okay. So looking at this, let's do the same thing we already did. What is in the middle of these pieces? Okay, not those. We kind of get to 35 and 35. And what's halfway between 35 and 35? You could add them together and divide by 2. Hopefully we're okay. That our Q1 or our front median is 35. Okay, so our front median is 35. Let's look at the back. Okay, it's not 41. It's not 60. It's not 43. It's not 50. We get down to 2 numbers. We had to think about what's perfectly between those. What number is perfectly between 45 and 47? Hopefully you're okay with the fact that that is 46. Our Q3 is 46. Okay, so again, in order to find our RQR, we need our Q3 and our Q1. And specifically, we're going to take those two and we're going to subtract. We're going to do subtract 46 minus 35, and we're going to get 11. So it's not that hard. It's not that tricky. Like, you can figure it out. We can get there. But there's probably an easier way to do it, and I'm probably going to show you it right now. Okay? So let's shift our attention to Desmos. I'm going to open up Desmos here. Okay? I'm going to get rid of the stuff we were already using. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay? And I want you to think back to last week. Last week I had you open up a table. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing, but rather than using X1 and Y1, we are only going to use one of them. Okay, and it doesn't actually matter which one you want. I'm going to delete the Y1 though, just to make it a little simpler. And I'm going to pull back up our points. Okay, what we are going to do is we're going to enter the points we have only into one column, only into X1. Okay, 25, 35, 35, 37, 40, 41, 43, 45, 47, 50, and 60. Okay? And this is actually pretty easy. Okay? To find our mean, you might think back to last week and think, oh, we typed in that correlation, that CORR to get mean. Take a wild guess. Yep, you guessed it. You got to type in mean. And the only difference, right, we didn't use Y1 this time. We only used X1. So all you got to do is type in X1. Okay, and if you remember earlier with our calculator, this is the same number that we got. Okay, we can switch our attention to median. Okay, median. Guess what you're going to need to type in? You guessed it. Type in median. I'm really bad at typing today. Okay, if you type in median, you get that number that we already had. Cool. Unfortunately, it doesn't do mode for you. At least just not as far as I know, but I think that it's okay. I think that we can look and see that we have 35 show up twice, 35 and 35. Okay, now let's shift our attention to our spread. Okay, to find these, we needed our max, our min, and our quarters. Okay, and there is technically a command to just give you max. I think that if you just type max, actually, type in max of X1, it does tell you, okay, but the easiest way to do this actually is to type in the word stats of X1, and if you do that, it gives you your min, your max, your Q1, and your Q3. Again, those things that I kind of already highlighted, right, are max, as it tells us, and as we already knew, right, our biggest number is 60, our min is 25, our Q3 was 46, and our Q1 was 35. So we could just take those and get right into the subtraction, okay? So again, this should have been a little bit of a review. Sorry, this is a little bit longer, but we got to be pretty comfortable with mean and median at this point. The rest of them, we can keep working on and get it figured out. But on the back of this, there's some practice, okay, with mean, median, and it highlights kind of where we're going. This question right here, it's pretty good. Okay, these tables we're going to focus on a little bit more. Okay, they're just ways for us to show data. But yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit later this week. Hopefully this was all right. Review it, look at it, see what you got to do. If you want more practice, let me know. Toodles.